question. Dear Kim, I have watched many of your videos about God, but I would like you to explain or give a brief summary of the following gods. Therefore, can you give a brief summary on 1. The formless God, besides the creator, not the creator in this case. The pure being of God, the allness, the one God, and our source from where the allness has come out of. So, this person who is asking this question has asked several other questions about God. And based on my observation, the person is still approaching the topic from the linear mind and wanting a very linear explanation. And I'm not sure the person has really grasped that, first of all, there's a limitation of words. When we're talking about God, we are very severely limited by words, because words lead to associations with mental images that people have of God. And you look at the world, you look at different religions, and there are many different mental images that people have created of God, or what they claim to be God, throughout known history. And the reality is that God is beyond any mental image that we can create as a mental image, or any worded description we can come up with in words. God is beyond all of this. So that's why you have to really see here that you cannot describe God in words. The purpose of giving some description of God is to inspire people to use their intuitive faculties to experience something beyond the words, beyond the mental images, and beyond the linear mind. See, here's the problem with the linear mind. If you look at the Old Testament God, Jehovah, the angry God in the sky, the angry man in the sky sitting up there on a great throne, who created that God? Well, some angry men who lived in the desert thousands of years ago. And how did they do it? By looking at what was around them and projecting upwards. Right? Now, what I have explained in several videos, including my video about how the world was created, is that we are designed to be co-creators with the Creator and with the Ascended Masters. And part of how we co-create is we use what I like to call the conceptual mind, right? So we formulate a concept, a mental image in our minds of what we want to manifest here on Earth, for example. Like, you want to build a house. You need to have a blueprint in your mind, what kind of a house, how big, and so forth. And then you project that mental image onto the basic energy that makes up the world, and we co-create through that. And that's a perfectly fine process. But the result of this is that what we human beings have created is a product of what we could imagine and envision. So as I've explained in many videos, the Earth is an unnatural planet where humankind has collectively created these very limiting conditions. We see poverty, lack of resources, conflicts, and war. And so here we are, down here. And as I talked about, we can see ourselves as connected beings, we can see ourselves as separate beings. So if we see ourselves as separate beings, what do? Well, we need to have some explanation of life and how life works. So we look at what's around us, which is what we have co-created from a separate state of mind. And now we are looking up and say, oh, there must be a God up there. And what could that be like? So now we take the linear mind, we analyze what we see around us, and we project, this is what God is like. But you see, we can't take anything in this world and project onto God. Why? Because this is an unnatural planet. Okay? But even on a natural planet, we can't actually project anything on God, because what we see around us is what we have created based on our limited sense of self. But God has a much larger sense of self than we have. So when we look at this unnatural planet on Earth, like I said, there are some angry men in the desert that want to have some kind of way to beat their competing tribes that are living around them. some justification. And so they project, though there's an angry God in the sky, and now he has told us to smite our enemies and kill the men, women, and children of the people who live in what is our promised land. Suddenly, justification for genocide coming from what they think is the ultimate God, but just a projection of the linear mind. Okay, I'm not trying to dodge the question here. I'm just trying to point out that when I use some of these words that are described in the question, they're just pointers, right? And they often relate to something that we experience here as a contrast. So, let's take this. The formless God, besides the Creator. So, it sounds to me like the person has the idea that I've talked about. There is a being who is our Creator, who has created our world of form. This is what I call the Creator. But it sounds like the person thinks that beyond the Creator is a God that has no form. But see, I often use the words formless God about the Creator, because compared to our world where everything has form, the Creator is a formless God because there's no form in this world that can describe or encapsulate the Creator. The Creator is the source of all form in our world, but the Creator therefore is beyond any form in our world, and therefore from our perspective, the Creator is the formless God. So I have talked about in my video about how the world was created. I say beyond our Creator is something I call the Allness, which is also mentioned here. The Allness. And in the Allness, there are some beings. Our Creator originally started as a self-aware being like us in another world of form, created by another Creator. Worked its way up like we have the potential to do to reach the Creator consciousness. Then our Creator went into the Allness for a while to experience the Allness, then decided to create a world of form, separated itself from the Allness, as I explained in how the world was created a void, and then created forms in that void. So compared to us, where everything has form, and compared to other worlds of form, where everything has form, the Allness is also the formless God. It's just a matter of how you use words, and you have to be very careful you don't get hung up in words, because you're just trying to, as I said, project a mental image based on what you see with your level of consciousness. And so the formless God can be both the Creator and the Allness. Now the person talks about the pure being of God. Well, the pure being of God can also be the Creator, and it can be the Allness, because compared to us, where we have a localized self-awareness, right? I'm sitting here, I am looking at this camera from my vantage point. If you were sitting across from me instead of the camera, you would be looking at me from your vantage point. I can't see what you see from your vantage point. That's the uniqueness of our individuality, our individual selves. But compared to this, the Creator sees everything in the world of form at the same time from all viewpoints. Because the Creator can see from its overall viewpoint, but also from the inside through our viewpoint. So, the pure being of God is really the Creator who, in its original state, didn't have any localized viewpoint inside the world of form. We are inside the world of form, we are looking at the world of form. So compared to us, the Creator is the pure being of God, just as you can say the Creator is the formless God. And then it talks about the one God. Well, the one God can refer to the Creator, because in our world of form, that is the one God. But the one God also means that God is undivided, because our Creator has manifested itself as this world of form we are in, has extended itself, extensions of its own awareness as us, right? And so from our viewpoint, yeah, I'm a distinct individual being, and I'm different from you and you're different from me. So you could say we are divided, but the Creator is not divided. Even though the Creator has manifested itself as all of these different forms and all of these beings, the Creator has never lost its oneness. So therefore, the Creator is the one God. But of course, there are other creators in other worlds of form, and there are beings in the allness. So it sounds to me like the person is thinking that when I say the one God, the linear mind then projects, yeah, but behind the Creator and behind the allness and the beings in the allness, there must be one God. And, you know, it's possible. But I doubt it, because my sense is that the one God is everything. So therefore, we can't say there is a distinct being behind our Creator, behind the allness, that is the one God. There isn't a being who sits up there as at the top of the pyramid, because the one God is all and in all. So what I'm saying is it's beyond what our linear minds can fathom. And we just have to not be hung up in words, not be hung up in the mental images. And we have to realize this fundamental difference here. We cannot reason from inside a world of form what is beyond the world of form. We can experience, and I had a profound experience many years ago, I think it was in 1995, where I was taken by the Ascended Masters to the highest level of the world of form, and then I saw beyond the world of form, and I connected there was a being there, which I think was the Creator. And I still feel that. But it's just that, yes, I connected to it, it was conscious, it was my source, but any kind of description I would try to give would just degrade the experience. I mean, there's no way to describe it from inside of this world of form, what the Creator who is outside the world of form is like. You know, in a sense you can say, describe the formless God. Well, hello, words have form, images have form. The formless cannot be described by anything that has form. And so the person is also saying, our source from where the allness has come out of. And this I think is another problem of the linear mind. But I've said this before, that the linear mind, and we have been indoctrinated with this. Okay, first of all, we have religion, right? God created the world in 7 days. Then we have scientific materialism and evolution. All the multitude of forms, life forms we see now, they all went back to this singular cell that first came into being in the primordial soup. So if we take it back, there was one event that everything came out of. And the Big Bang Theory. All of the matter and energy was at one point concentrated in a singularity. Nobody can describe what a singularity is, right? But this was the source, and everything came out of that. So therefore, the linear mind said, well, what was before the Big Bang? What was before the singularity? So therefore, what did the allness come out of? But the allness never came out of anything. The allness was always there. There was no beginning. God does not have a beginning nor an end. Yet our Creator, which is an individual God, had a beginning and an end. I don't know how much more clearly I can say it. I mean, words are just words. And all I can say is, it is not my intention with anything I say, it's not the intention of the Ascended Masters or the teaching they give, to say that this worded teaching is the ultimate truth about God. The whole purpose of it is to give some ideas that our minds can deal with, but then encourage people to use the tools and teachings of the Ascended Masters to have an intuitive, direct, inner intuitive experience that resolves the question for you. You can put it this way. When it comes to questions about God, they cannot be answered in a way that the linear mind, the analytical mind, can grasp. The purpose of trying to answer these questions is to encourage people to reach beyond the linear mind, have an intuitive experience, so that you experience something that you cannot put words on. And the problem with most religions and spiritual teachings is that there are these people who have a genuine mystical experience, but then they put it into words, and now either they or their followers begin to say, this was the ultimate truth about God. The Old Testament is the ultimate truth about God, and anything else is of the devil. Complete misunderstanding. Complete and utter misunderstanding. Created by the ego from the consciousness of separation. And as I said before, from separation you cannot fathom oneness. But you can experience oneness when you start seeing yourself as a connected being and seek to have a higher and higher connection. But if you then have some connection, some experience, and now you say, oh, now I understand everything. Now I have God figured out. Then you will stop yourself at that level of consciousness and you will never get an experience beyond it until you again open your mind. Because there is nothing final in this world. And there's nothing more sad than people who have had a genuine mystical experience and now they use that to stop their growth because they think this showed them the ultimate truth, or that now they have reached an ultimate state of consciousness. They are now awakened or enlightened and they don't need to look further.